177 pages. That's how long the audit and exhibits of the initial audit of Disney's Reedy Creek Improvement District ended up being. I say Disney's Reedy Creek, but there really was a problem there. Even though Reedy Creek was supposed to function as a fully independent government, the audit reveals that to this day, the Walt Disney Company is allegedly still treating the government and taxpayer property as their own. Will there be consequences? We had the foremost expert on special taxing districts in the state of Florida on to talk about that on That Park Place. I'm Jonas J. Campbell, an investigative reporter for That Park Place, and today we're talking about what legal consequences there could be for employees of the former Reedy Creek Improvement District, or even executives of the Walt Disney Company going all the way back to the Eisner era, or the rank-and-file employees that allowed this to happen. Believe it or not, Disney might be fighting a battle on multiple fronts, and the alleged crimes might be so egregious that they cannot be ignored. According to the audit, some of these crimes have already been reported to federal agencies and the IRS. Let's get into it.
Well, no, I don't think any of this has to do with free speech. It has to do with breaking the law. But so there's no get out of jail free card. So the quick follow up, though, because you've already mentioned this, you mentioned last night, I think, on your stream that somebody asked or whatever whether or not you believe that the DOJ and the SEC would prosecute for these crimes. And I think that's a brilliant thing we should lead into. I'm curious. I mean, we know how corrupt cronyism works in the federal government. Will they abdicate their responsibility to prosecute? See, I love using that word now.
I've got a great
I love it. So I will say this. Based on this audit alone, the SEC, the IRS, and I think the DOJ have to at least investigate, right? Now, we've all seen where some of these investigations go. If they like what you're doing, they'll prosecute. They don't like what you're doing. Oh, we magically didn't find anything, or oh, there's not enough substance on this one, or oh, we've declined to go forward with it. But they've got to at least investigate. When you have, for example, the IRS claims, for example, this audit says they're going to report to the IRS that those benefits they gave, for example, tickets, were a taxable benefit they should have reported to the IRS. They didn't report that to the IRS. That's tax fraud. So they're going to report that. In this audit, they say, we're reporting that. The IRS cannot not investigate that, right? They have to investigate it. Now, does that mean that the IRS has to arrest Bob Iger? No. But let me say this. Let's say the White House has a little shift in politics next year. We'll just put it that way. Is there possible that Bob Iger could be deposed for RICO? Yeah, it absolutely is. Is it possible that you could see folks in the administration that were double dealing, that were Disney employees and RCID employees being questioned for securities fraud, for public offering fraud? Absolutely. It's absolutely possible they could go ahead and prosecute that.
Could the Florida State Attorney General maybe?
Yes.
So yeah, this is kind of my question here. First
he
of all,
said DOJ though. To be fair, he said DOJ, federal DOJ.
Right. Of course.
State attorney they've already on it. They've already said they're investigating it. So they're already on it. Those guys are on it.
Yeah. Speaking of which, there was a statement that if there was something contemplated around the time that maybe Trump was going to come up on some charges for something while he was still in office, and someone theorized that maybe he could pardon himself. And a New York district attorney said, well, if you get pardoned for a federal crime, that doesn't pardon you on a state crime. So I wonder how much of this, obviously SEC crimes, that's federal. That's obviously federal.
Yeah.
It does make me wonder.
Some of them are both like fraudulent and false statements. There's federal and there's state stuff. Like, for example, with the securities, there's stuff they can do at the state level and at the federal level. So there's certain things that the federal government could decline to come after. They could say, oh, well, IRS, we're not going to worry about that. We're not going to get into that with their what's a benefit and not. Okay, that's fine. You still have misappropriation of public funds, misuse of position, abuse of the public office. You've got all these state charges. You've got enough to lock people away for a lifetime at the state level. So you don't even need to get the feds involved.
Speaking of which, after this, we'll be redirecting to Culture Casino. But Andrew, Legal Mindset, we've got the link in the chat there, or you can just go straight to his channel and will be the latest premiere. So Andrew will be covering this. We've got him for about 10 more minutes. So if anybody has any questions, throw them our way. Slade Wilson, the censored man, for $2 says, does this report help Peltz in any way? Hi, Jonas.
Absolutely helps Peltz.
Oh, yeah.
I like that. Whenever I see hi Jonas, I think of the Elon, like hi Bob.
I think Slade might have meant it that way, actually. So.
Yeah. But yeah, no. Seriously though, this is Peltz's dream. He has such a strong position to come on the board now and say, look, we've got to shake things up. We got to do things right. We got to negotiate. We got to settle with these people. Disney cannot endure this level of criminal culpability. However, at this point, they may not be able to avoid it. Disney pushed too far. They had a chance to back down. I don't think they wanted to drop this, but they're dropping it now at a time when Disney is at their weakest, when they just paid out they're going to have to pay out for Hulu, right? They've had to pay out for everything else. They're at their weakest in terms of their financials, right? In terms of their movies, they're all failing. This is the point to strike. This is absolutely a death blow potentially for Disney.
And I'll just add, they also announced that they're going to be paying it's not a great dividend, but they are going to be paying a dividend that it seems like they paid for that by scrapping the Galactic Star Cruiser and also scrapping a bunch of content that was on Disney Plus. So they're not in the best of shape right now. Here's a good one. It's not a super chat, but it's a great question. Who was the auditor?
There were a collection of auditors: Kimley Horn, Jennings, Professor Koken, I believe I can pronounce his name right, as well as I think PWAG. Yep. There you go, right there. Public Resources Advisory Group. So they're the independent financial advisor. Kimley Horn, I've worked with them. They do urban planning. They're experts with special districts. They've done almost all of them. William Jennings, who's a forensic accountant. I worked with him once as well. And then there's Professor Koken. He's in George Mason at the Antonin Scalia School of Law. And he does their violation of constitutional law. And despite the fact that he is not a Floridian, by nature, he really gets Florida law and he really gets government law. So what he lays out there, the law that he lays out just clearly shows the way they were running our CID shows it wasn't a government at all. They were running it as an alter ego of Disney, which is absolutely in violation of the Florida Constitution and frankly, even American, general constitutional principles about the separation between government and private parties. So this is absolutely a great squad of folks they brought together that capture all of the areas that Disney is going wrong. This is like if the first one was me and doing the law, then maybe you get Valiant, who can do urban planning. Culture, I'm going to put you on urban planning. And then you got somebody else coming there as an independent financial advisor. Maybe I bring in Mike or something like that, right? I mean, you've got really all-stars coming in here to bat who absolutely know their stuff. And that's why I was so blown away by this report. And if you look at the exhibits, Jonas, you can scroll down. There are so many things that they have brought. They brought the Carfax. Disney hasn't shown a single piece of evidence as to any bias, real bias on the part of the state of Florida, whereas they are providing dozens of reasons.
Right. All of these right here on screen are improper gifts. Right here, retirement parties, celebration of life invoices. These are all things that RCID and it should not be paying for with public funds. And most of them look like they're reimbursements to Disney for paying way too much for all of these things. So we're getting some more questions here. Is this live? I know that Is This Live knows the answer to this question because I know for a fact that Is This Live was watching your live stream
on my stream earlier. Yeah,
so generous to you. For $5 Canadian, ask Andrew about what the audit reported on contractors and the RCID bidding.
You will love it, Jonas, because it's everything woke. It's everything woke. So what they did with contractors was they had a racial and woman quota. Okay. So they established a quota, but they had no requirement as to quality or price. They had zero controls for that. So they had an improved vendor list. And if you weren't hiring from their woke list of vendors, they didn't allow you, they didn't give you a permit. So even when I was in Bonnet Creek, for example, the story I told earlier today, they made us hire somebody from their list because we had to get an environmental permit from them for something that was close to their property. It was abutting their property. So they said, unless you go to our vendor, we're not going to hire you. Of course, these all marked it up, probably for a kickback to Disney, right? Which is how they do that, right? So they end up with these corrupt relationships, and they had no control over price. They were wildly overpaying for things. They were having no bid contracts. It was absolutely something you never see in government. You never see it. And I've been at city, county, local, special district. It's insane. It's nuts. You never see no bid contracts unless it's something super, super ultra specific. It doesn't happen.
It's like a mini closed ESG type system. I mean, it's amazing.
Well, you think about every aspect of the Disney company has been affected by a disregard for quality and a focus on race. The November 21st filing, whatever that recent filing was, where they talked about what they do under business, they said DEI, and then they said entertainment. It's they're clear as day. They don't consider themselves an entertainment company until after they consider themselves a DEI company.
And in that SEC filing, they even say, like, we understand that our stances, our public stances, and even the stances that we imbue in our entertainment, with regards to our environmental and social goals, might be at odds with the public and public acceptance of our product. We know, we just don't care.
I have to point this out. The great Ron Coleman is in the chat. Now we have an expert in the chat.
By the way, congratulations to your relative on his engagement, Ron Laheim.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm hearing good things about Good Logic or the Following Pro, or maybe he's going back to Good Logic. I don't understand what's going on there. Of course, our beloved WDW Pro says, Andrew, he'd like to get a hold of you for a video.
So would a lot of folks. I've got to run here in 5 minutes until about my premiere. I might be able to catch up with you after that. So Pro, you got my digits. DM me and I'll get with you.
And also Black Saber. I love this chat, man. I love this chat. Black Saber for $2. Disney will be the biggest Florida man yet.
Absolutely.
Florida man takes over Central Florida District and runs it as kingdom, corporate kingdom. Oh,
I mean, that's about right, though. That's about right.
I think that might be the thumbnail on one of my videos soon. Oh, that's beautiful.
Disney is Florida man.
Yeah, Andrew, is there anything in here that you are specifically there? First of all, it's 80 pages, and
there's so much. There's so much in here, guys. This is something. I mean, I don't understate that everybody should actually read this, because I would say, like, okay, there's some things. No, literally read it, go through it. You will be shocked at what is in here. It is going to keep us all busy for the next couple of years, because there is so much potential financial wrongdoings, business wrongdoings, legal wrongdoings. It is absolutely bonkers. And this is what we've been reporting on. The cruise ship thing. Look, they gave people a 50% discount if you're a cast member, and that's totally legal, right? You can give a cast member a 50% discount. It's your cast member.
Sure.
But with RCID employees, what it says in this audit, which is nuts, is they told them to call a special line and not email, because they didn't want to have it disclosed by the sunshine laws. They knew they wanted to hide it. They knew they had to hide it, and they secretly were giving them discounts because they knew it was wrong. Never see stuff like this. You never see stuff on this scale. It's absolutely insane.
I want to point these out while you're here. Disney appears to have coordinated and confirmed agreements between BP Energy using an email address rcid.broker@disney.com.
At disney.com. And then look at the bottom there. BP Energy negotiated a agreement with them as well through Disney, and they also did commodity swaps between RCID and JP Morgan. Was Disney qualified to be standing as a broker for commodity swaps? Was that something that was properly reported to the SEC in their public offering?
And this is, of course, ignoring the fact that you have a private corporation that appears to be issuing government bonds. Oh my goodness! I've heard that is so spectacularly bad that maybe
wildly
Disney
illegal. This is wildly. This is This is why I say, when people say, "Is the SEC going to prosecute?" They can't not investigate, because these allegations are so crazy that if they don't investigate, it's pretty much like, well, what do these guys do? I mean, it's insane. They have to at least investigate and say, well, we don't have enough evidence. That they cannot not look into it. And by the way, think about the headline on the front page. SEC, IRS, DOJ investigate Disney. Stock up or down?
Oh yeah.
well, and then Disney's going to have to post to their they're going to have to update their financials in order to accurately reflect the reserves that they need to put in order to account for, one, the fact that if this might be more ammo for the lawsuit coming forward, and also the fact that they're going to have a reserve for the criminal penalties that they might be coming under. And I'm trying very hard to use allegedly over and over again. Let me just say, there's a whole lot of alleged on this.
You say it enough. Look, if it goes to trial, a lot of these have a very good chance to be proven, which is why you can say, okay, well, these alleged, whatever. But some of these are at the point where all they have to do is bring this in, show the receipts, which they've already attached as exhibits, and they're done. No. There's no other evidentiary burden. Just show it. It's been done. You're guilty. There's no negotiation. Did you do this and not report it to the IRS? Yes. You're guilty. It's done. There's no arguing. It's just done.
Here's the
this
favorite
shows up
fact
in a white
of mine.
paper. This is going to be terrible.
Oh yeah. Well, here's your white paper. It's 80 pages. Until 1998,
I guess so.
Disney even kept the RCID's employees on its own payroll. So 25 years ago, they said, you know what? Maybe we don't need to be paying RCID employees directly from Walt Disney Company payroll services. So, do you view this as an admission of some kind of guilt or some kind of trying to fix this process?
A little bit. I mean, the thing is that it's not fixing anything, because it appears that it's only gotten worse over time, and they've only done more and more and more egregious things. In fact, in the recent years is when they were heavily reimbursing themselves from RCID, which is why I think they're absolutely, up until the day they left control, they were committing the potential alleged, maybe, crimes.
Thank you so much for watching to the end of this video. This clip was part of our now regular Thursday live stream, which starts at noon Eastern time. Of course, just hit the notification bell if you'd like YouTube to just tell you when that is. Like this video if you like this video. If you know somebody who is as interested as we are in this sort of thing, then maybe you should share the link with them. And of course, please consider subscribing to That Park Place for all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Place News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.